Hello, it's Friday, November 8th, and this video segment I call My Perspective and Comments. And I'd like to just review what's been taking place in the news and regarding the whole Ukrainian impeachment saga as it continues on. And I think really to summarize this, you've had a lot of people making accusations like whistleblowers that really aren't whistleblowers, or really nobody knows who this person is, but things are coming out, like Democrat operatives, like they have an agenda because they've worked for candidates like Hillary Clinton, worked with Adam Schiff. In fact, what has been the talk has been that Adam Schiff has been integrally involved in these whistleblowers, and his hand has been all over the messaging that's been going on. And Adam Schiff really is not a reliable player, especially when you look back to 3 years now, when he was part of the impeach Trump because of Russia collusion. And where did that get us? Many millions of dollars spent, people that were indicted that really shouldn't have been, and it only ends up that Robert Mueller comes out and says no collusion here. And we're going right down the same path, and Adam Schiff is right there pushing this, and really a unfair and a corrupted situation. But the Democrats, they want they think that they're going to win points politically by keeping this farce up. What it's going to do is backfire, and the American people are going to say, look, enough is enough with this, and reward the Republicans and Donald Trump in 2020 as being reelected as president. I'd like to talk a bit about the Democratic presidential race. Yeah, that crazy train is still on the track and running down those tracks. It stopped though for a minute to let Robert Francis O'Rourke, Beto, and they picked up a new candidate now who's going to be running. Yeah, Bloomberg, ex-mayor of New York. It looks like he's throwing his hat in the ring. Now, folks, he's calculating. He's has done well. He's a billionaire. So he's got a lot of money to throw out there for campaign ads and to get his message out. But I want to give you a quick overview of Bloomberg. If you've ever been to a 7-Eleven, I believe it's 7-Eleven, they have the big gulp, the soft drinks. Bloomberg, when he was mayor, he was going after the big gulp, 32-ounce soft drinks, sugary drinks, get rid of it. Restaurants that had the salt shaker on the table, get rid of it. No salt, no sodium. We don't even want to see it. Restaurants are going to get fined if you see a salt shaker in a restaurant. With Beto leaving, Bloomberg comes on board. Same thing. He's coming after your guns, and he spent millions upon millions in many races over the last 3, 4, 5 years now, pushing, going after legal gun owners. So you'll see that again. Beto's gone, but it looks like Bloomberg will pick up that mantra. So once again, Bloomberg must think that it's a really weak field, and his instinct in that respect is and he's looking, I believe, to capture Joe Biden's spot as a moderate. but Bloomberg is far from being a moderate. And he's just as liberal as some of these other crazies on that train. But he's going to throw his hat in the ring. He's got plenty of money to throw around for campaign ads. So here we go, another candidate running. Elizabeth Warren, just a quick jot down on her state of things. She's does a lot of talking, but the question that really needs to be answered, and she's tap danced around it, is Medicare for all, socialized medicine. Who's going to pay for it? And she's still doing a tap dance, and she won't come right out and say everybody's going to have to pay for it, like Bernie Sanders has said. Some other candidates I think will be dropping out soon will be Cory Booker, possibly Castro, and maybe Kamala Harris. Over the last a week ago in New Hampshire, she canceled, let go of her staff that was running the campaign in that state, in New Hampshire. So she may be on her way out. But I think when it comes to Joe Biden, the next debate is going to be critical for old Joe. I still think that in the national polls, he's still up there because, again, they're not looking for crazy. They're looking for somebody that's not on that crazy, the crazy talk. And what these Democrats have been espousing over these last presidential debates. And Joe still fits that. And that's what Bloomberg was trying to capture, or he thinks that there's an opening there. So we'll see how old Joe, Sleepy Joe, if he wakes up and has a strong showing for once in some of these debates. And the whispering is that he just doesn't have his fastball anymore. So we'll see. I'd like to, and this has been a topic that I've mentioned before, but it still keeps, it's out there and it's being pushed. And again, it's this transgenderism, with transgenders in our libraries, and transgenders discriminating against our women in athletics. And as of late, and I'm not really going to get into details, it's just very sickening, but it went viral. And I believe this was a transgender man who was dressed up as a woman, a pregnant woman. And what he did, and it was amongst, it almost looked like it was in an establishment where there were people around it that were watching this. And again, this video went viral. And I won't really get into details, just briefly. He was dressed up as he was pregnant, and he ends up taking, very graphic, but it needs to be said, because this is demonic, and it's out there, and we can't put our heads in the sand regarding what's going on here. But he takes a knife out and hits his stomach, and out comes, he pulls out a baby, a toy, a baby, but it's covered in red, representing blood. And he also reaches into his stomach and pulls out intestines and things of that nature. And very despicable and demonic. And we see a boldness. We see the enemy coming forward in a just being bold. Nothing held back now when it comes to their agenda and expressing how they feel. And we need to continue to pray that we would see revival, that hearts would be changed. But a scripture comes to mind regarding this as I was watching some snippets of what took place. And it's the scripture that comes to mind is James chapter 4 verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil and he will flee. And there needs to be the church resist. And I think a part of that resistance and resisting is to be active, to be vocal, and to call out some of these institutions. Maybe go to some libraries during lunchtime and see if this evil is happening in your town. And prayer warriors that to lift up leaders, that leaders would be enlightened, that they could step in, and legislation would be coming forth that would stop this evil. Especially when you see some of the expressions that children are being exposed to in these library situations. Not good, evil, and indoctrination is taking place there. So resist the enemy, he will flee. And when the truth and the light comes out, the enemy has to flee. And it's time that light gets brought onto many of these situations, and that God's people rise up and speak up. And it also takes a political. We have representatives, lawmakers, and if there is laws being broken, which I believe when it comes to what's taking place in our libraries, for instance, could very well be considered child abuse. But we keep vigilant, keep our eye open on. I mean, this is happening here. It's happening worldwide. Satan wants to have and is having an influence on many people, and we need to pray and bring light and shine the light into that darkness. The enemy will flee. And that's my perspective and comment.